Hi, this is Eric.
And this is Leanne.
And
we're the Pullins. We're back.
Yep, we're back.
Long hiatus.
Time I think we did one of these was March.
From a long hiatus, lot of stuff going on. Good, bad, indifferent, exciting.
We've been busy.
Yes. We could start off by saying that Eric had to go back into the hospital.
Yes.
And he was re-stented. I don't know if anyone knows, or we talked about it last year, but Eric had a heart scare around Labor Day, and he was stented, and we've learned that a lot of people get stented these days. It's actually, it's a breakthrough miracle that people can be stented. It saves their lives from having a heart attack or going into cardiac arrest. So,
I have 3 stents now.
Yes, and we heard that's also common, and we just thank God, of course, that He's given Eric extra time to be here with me and here with the rest of us. Eric has 2 daughters, so I always tease him and I say, God's telling you got to stay down here so you can walk them down that aisle.
Yes.
So here we are.
Here we are.
You want to tell them what else we've been up to?
We were on a movie set.
Yes.
Back in, what month was that?
I think that was in March or April.
Yes. Can't really say exactly what the movie is yet.
Or who's in it. But
or who's in it.
But
Very popular star.
Yes, and it's exciting because a lot of Hollywood work is coming to Vegas.
Yes.
And that was one of my jobs I used to have before I met Eric when I lived in California. As a little person, I got to be on set, do stand-in work for kids. And so it's exciting that I got to bring Eric on, and he's going to work on getting his SAG union and join the union someday.
Yes. We were, what was it we called? We were called background.
Yes, background. Yes. And so that was also exciting.
And I never knew, it was kind of wild. I never knew what it was like to be on a movie set, how they keep having to retake the scene. And it was just like, it was kind of, I don't know, not really boring, but just kind of like nerve-wracking when you just keep having to do the scene to where they get it perfect.
Right, and when you have to hurry and wait. You got to get there on set. You got to be on time, and then you get there, and then they're waiting hours and hours before they even use you.
Yes.
And I told you it was a lot different than radio because when we used to, when we lived in Illinois, you took me to the radio station, and then you took me here to KUNB at UNLV.
Yes.
And for me, that was a different kind of work because I never did where it was solely just voice work and not being seen on camera.
Yes.
So just talking like we are now, I wasn't used to it because I'm used to seeing an audience or seeing people feedback, and so just like we are talking right now, it was just different.
Mm-hmm. And you just struck a memory with me. I did a 4-week course a while back on the introduction to voiceover.
Yes.
Because I've been trying to get a job in radio out here.
Yes.
Haven't had any luck. And so I thought, well, I'll try voiceover, because voiceover could be anything. It could be music on hold, that could be commercials, that could also be
announcements at the casino.
Announcements inside a store, casino, guided meditation.
Yeah, and you have that distinctive voice because you have that dialect. I say it's because you lived in Tennessee and then also Illinois, so I always say you have that cross dialect of Midwest Southern.
Yes.
And that's something that's unique out here because they don't hear that much on the west side of the United States. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that what you were told in class?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're back, and we've been getting some feedback from some of our listeners, and one of our listeners suggested that we should incorporate challenges of being little people and talk about being little people because, well, that's what we are.
Yes.
And I guess when we first started, we just wanted to try it out and just have a podcast just talking just normally because I don't know for Eric, but I'm type that I don't always like to talk about my disability. I don't always like to talk about being little because I try to just mesh into the average size world as much as I can.
But if you don't talk about it, then nobody's going to be educated about it.
That's true. And also, I guess that's just a unique part of us that that's who we are, and that's what we should talk about. It doesn't have to be our whole life, but I mean, just highlight or spotlight our capabilities here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So since we are also a Christian podcast because we call ourselves little, we call ourselves soulmates. I'd like to share my experience when I was younger. It was probably my teen years, or probably maybe young college years. That awkward age when you ask yourself, or you ask God, why was I made this way? Why was I a little person?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I different? What is my purpose? And God, that same weekend, heard my prayer because I went to church with my parents. And at that time, I was more of a Catholic follower than a Christian follower. So we went to Catholic church, and we were sitting there, and the priest got up and he did the scripture of the day, and he talked about Luke 19, and I'm going to read that verse. It's Luke 19, 1 through 3, if anyone's listening and wants to follow. And it talks about, okay, I'll read it right here. It says, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man called Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector, a superintendent to whom others reported, and he was rich. Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was, but he could not see because of the crowd, for he was short in stature. And when I heard that in church that day, I just an overwhelming came about me. I was in tears. I said, "Oh my God!" They're right there in the Bible, in the Word, in our guiding book that takes us through life. Just spoke of a man short in stature, and that's how they describe us as being little people. We are short in stature because we were born with average size bodies, but our limbs were the ones that didn't grow. We have average size brains, we have average size hearts.
That's wild that they mention that he was short in stature, because nowhere else in the Bible can I think of where it mentions, like, it doesn't say there were people of color. There were people of, other ethnicities or anything.
Or different disabilities.
And right there it says that there were, I guess you might want to say, little people.
It doesn't say anybody using wheelchairs. It doesn't say, disabled. Mm-hmm. They use other words to describe disabled. But right there in black and white, as you can see it says short in stature. So with that opening, we were kind of guided from the same listener to just talk about our challenges as little people. What do we have to overcome? What do we overcome on a daily experience? You overcome things during the day using the power chair. Tell me what your challenges are when people get in your way, or you're going down the sidewalk. Say, for instance, you're just going to Walgreens. What do you have to face?
Lots of times, depending on how wide the sidewalk is, I'll have to say, excuse me if I'm coming up behind somebody so they can move aside so I can get around. Or lots of times, and for some reason I'm always wanting to apologize. I'll say sorry if I feel like my wheelchair gets in somebody's way. Like if I'm going down an aisle in a grocery store and I have to get around somebody. Or if I'm going down an aisle in a grocery store and I see something I need and it's way up on the top shelf, and of course I have an eye level chair, but it only goes up so high, I'll have to say, excuse me, can you reach this for me? And usually most people are nice enough that they'll get it down for you.
Yeah, I face those challenges too, either if I'm using the power chair or I'm on foot. That's always been a challenge, being female and want to have certain things you want to cook, and it always seems like everything you want is on the top shelf and everything you don't need is on the bottom. It's always the reverse. Mm-hmm. So I always run into people, and if I can't get a person that works at the particular store,. I will say, hi, can you get this down for me? And people are very usually more than willing to help.
And I love the stores now that have these buttons that if you need customer assistance, you can just hit and they'll say, need help in the wine aisle or something like that. And then, of course, an associate will come over and I say, "Can you reach this for me, please?"
Yeah, sometimes I even go push that button even if I don't need help with the wine aisle,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I know it'll call somebody over to the wine aisle, and then I'll guide them to where I need to be.
Yes.
And but I remember sometimes back in the day, like I remember my parents also being little people. I remember them actually climbing the shelf. I remember Dad would actually, Mom would point out something that she wanted, and Dad would actually climb on that step or two and get up there.
Or you get something else, like if there's an item that you see that's like long, like say a mop handle or something, and then you knock it down, and somebody else and either if you have two people shopping together in the store, somebody else catches it.
Yes, but that's always troublesome because sometimes if a lot of things you need are in a glass jar, then you're playing juggling like a circus, and we don't want to be doing that, breaking things. But I think more or less people are more aware. I know a lot of people, if we stop them and ask them for help, they might make a comment like on a sidebar, like say, "Oh, you're short like me, and I always thought I was short, and now I get to help you." Or of course they'll compare us to someone they've seen on TV. "Oh, you're just like those shows on those reality shows, and they're always needing help, so now I get to help you." It's like it's a cool thing now.
Or sometimes I think I ran into this situation at Target a while back. I pulled somebody aside for one item, and they says, "Oh, I can walk around with you and get a few other things for you, like your personal shopper."
Right. Well, that's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
And other struggles we have, like we were just talking about when we're outside, either with the chair or walking. Yes, we get people that are kind of in our way, and usually they'll step aside and they'll be nice, but you get those kids or you get those younger people that are kind of adamant or kind of jerks about it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just part of life and something we have to deal with. We have to wait till they go to the side, asking them if they can move so we can get through.
Yes.
Once in a while we'll get Snickers people laughing at us, but we use those opportunities to educate a lot of times too. Want to use this opportunity that, like going back and we were talking about being short-statured or little people, those are the terms that we like to be called these days. The word midget is not acceptable anymore. That's a word that's offensive, just like using the N-word or any other derogatory term of any other culture. And I know it's confusing too because a lot of people see little people on TV and they think it's cool to be called midget, or like comedians out here in Las Vegas. We're not going to name names, but certain people use that in their title, and we know that they'll use that word because they're making money off that word. But right here, for anyone listening, we want to just spread the word that the word midget is not acceptable.
Yes.
There's times when we teach kids that word is not acceptable, and they'll say, "Well, our parents use that word, and it's okay because our parents say that." But they need to know that their parents come from a different generation where that word was always used, and today it is not.
Yes.
So we're getting close already to our end time. Always good when we have something to talk about because the time goes by fast.
Yes, it is.
But we just wanted to say hi again. We're out here. We didn't disappear. We've just been really busy with other stuff. But tune in some more, and we will be around.
And we have a email address for our little soulmates, but I didn't find out if it's still active or not. So, do we want to give our social media? You can search for us on Facebook or Instagram, Eric Pullen or Leanne
Pullen.
Pullon, just like pull on your shirt.
And look up LV Little Soulmates and Google if something should come up how you can reach us.
Yes. And drop us a line letting us know if you like the show or like the podcast.
Do you have any questions, what we discussed, or you have anything you want us to talk about?
Yes.
We're here. So we just want to thank all our listeners again. Have a wonderful week.
Yes.
God bless.
God bless.
Take care of one another.
Stay safe.
Yes.
And especially if you have heat like we do, stay cool.
Yes, definitely. Definitely dehydrate.
Okay.
Get those drinks and pay it forward. Help people out.
Yes.
And we'll talk soon. Have a good one. Take care.
You too. God bless. Bye-bye.